friends. Welcome to Ultimate Angular Material course. I am Achyut. I am going to be your trainer for this course. I'd help thousands of students to master various client-side programming technologies like JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, and React. In this course, you will learn what is Angular Material and how to use Angular Material in the Angular project. Let us start. Now today you will learn what is SPA application, what is Angular, what is Angular material, add Angular material to the project and display first Angular material component. So what is single page application or client side application? So single page application is a web application that fits in a single page. All your code, JavaScript, HTML, CSS is retrieved with a single page load and navigation between the pages performed without refreshing the whole page of them. So single page application, the components of application or the parts of application or features of the application will be part of a single page. And all your code, so generally to develop a single page applications, we use JavaScript, HTML and CSS. So all this will be retrieved with a single page load and the navigation between the various facilities will be happened without refreshing or reloading the whole page of them. Now, this is sometimes called client-side applications since entire application runs in a browser, client-side, so in a browser, web browser on a client computer. So for few things, for very few things, for small things, it will talk to the server, so it will talk to the backend APIs of them. Now, what is basically Angular? So let's have a look at an Angular. So to develop the single page applications, we have various technologies like we have React.js or we use the Knockout.js or we can use Vue or we can use the Backbone.js. So a lot of JS technologies. So the most popular technology in that particular category is Angular. And what is basically Angular? So Angular is a platform and framework for building single page client side applications using HTML and TypeScript to that. Now I repeat, so Angular is basically a platform or we can say technology or a framework which will help you to build single page, so beautiful single page client side applications using HTML and TypeScript to them. So using HTML, CSS and TypeScript. Now Angular is a TypeScript based open source web application framework led by the Angular team at Google and by a community of individuals and the corporations of that. So Angular is basically a TypeScript based open source web application framework. Now it's an open source framework and it's a product of Google, so it is managed by the Google and community. So it's open source community project, but it's the product of Google and Google team is managing this particular project of that. And entire Angular is TypeScript based. So TypeScript is basically a superset of a JavaScript and it provides you static types and object-oriented extensions to the JavaScript to that, and entire Angular is written using a TypeScript to that, and entire Angular is written using a TypeScript to that. So the features of the TypeScript is available in Angular. So Angular is TypeScript-based open source application framework given by a Google team and community of them. Now, Angular is a complete rewrite from the same team who built the AngularJS. So previously, Google was having AngularJS, and using AngularJS, we can develop these single-page applications. So Google team scrapped AngularJS, and they came with a new product, entire new product that is called Angular, and it's written by the same team that built the AngularJS of them. So they had removed all the limitations and the drawbacks that we were facing in AngularJS in the Angular project. Now, Angular as a platform can be used for building mobile desktop application today. So Angular has a capability so to build a mobile as well as web as well as desktop applications. So that now, if you want to understand more about Angular, so you can visit my another video. So it has a complete set of tutorials or sessions on the Angular. There. Now, what is basically a angular material? So, angular materials. So, what is basically a angular material? So, angular materials were introduced as a design language. So, materials were introduced as a design language that was developed by the Google in 2014. And material design is a tool for front-end frameworks which help you with visual motion and interaction design there. Now here it also helps you to adapt the cross different devices and different screen sizes. So there first it was tagged to AngularJS to make these apps more attractive and perform faster there. So we can say material is a standard or specification introduced by the Google as a design language there. Now material design tool is for front-end frameworks which will help you with visual motion and interaction design. So material design is available for material specification or design language is available for front-end frameworks like React or Knockout or AngularJS or Vue or Backbone. So where we can use this material design language on that, and it will help you to make your client-side applications or SPA applications or front-end application more attractive. So by adding a visual motion and interactions to them. Now it also helps you to adapt the cross different devices and different screen sizes of that. Now, when Angular material was introduced, it was first tagged with the Angular JS. So a lot of people in companies use material with Angular JS to make the Angular JS applications more attractive and perform faster than. Later on, Google team modified the Angular JS. So Google team rewrote the entire code, wrote the code from scratch and removed JS and that is JavaScript and named it as an Angular in September 2016 with that. So later on, Google came with a new single page application development framework that is called Angular, and it's entirely based on the TypeScript of that. Then Google team created a new thing. Later on, Google tagged the material design to Angular, which uses TypeScript and named it as an Angular material. So Angular material specification is modified to work with the TypeScript, and then it will be tagged to Angular and named it as an Angular material. So that now Angular material is both a UI component framework and a reference implementation of Google's material design specification होता है. So Angular material both. So it's a combination of UI components. So Angular material provides you a lot of built-in UI components, and it has the reference implementation of Google's material design specification there. So it follows Google's material design specification there. Now what is Angular material? Will continue this year. So Angular provides a set of reusable, well-tested, accessible UI components based on material design there. So Angular material provides you reusable, well-tested, and accessible UI components based on material design there. So based on the material design, I repeat. So Angular provides a set of reusable, well-tested and accessible UI components based on material design that can be used with the Angular application there. Help you to create a rich, interactive, and device-oriented UI for your web apps. So there, it's free, and you don't need to buy any license for using Angular material. It contains a various range of components like forms, controls, navigation buttons, indicators, pop-ups, and many more there. So it provides a built-in set of components. Those components can be used to create a UI for single page application or front-end applications using Angular. Now to learn the Angular material, so what we have, so we should know the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Okay, so you should be familiar with this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript if you want to use the Angular material, and you should have basic familiarity with the Angular. So you should have basic knowledge of Angular, so how to create Angular application and how to run and what is the components of that. So if you want to learn more about Angular, so you can go for my another series for the Angular, so you can learn the Angular in detail there. Now, in this session, I am taking you to Angular material from scratch. So we'll learn everything from the scratch, but you need to have knowledge of HTML, so CSS, JavaScript, and basic knowledge of Angular. Now let's further major features of Angular. So what we have in Angular major features. So in major features of Angular, the first thing that we are going to learn the typography, then we are going to learn buttons and indicators, then navigations, layouts, and we'll say farm controls and data tables, dialogues, so we can say snack bars, a lot of things there. So we are going to study all of them. Now at the first step, what we do, so we'll try to add and use Angular material. So how to add Angular material to your Angular project and how to use a material in Angular project to that. So add Angular material to the project here. Throughout the session, we are going to refer the Angular material guide for the following reasons. Now, so throughout all the sessions, we should use the Angular material guide and we follow the Angular material documentation and that Angular material documentation. Why we follow it? Because we want to stay updated. We get continuously updated on that. To refer the Angular directives and modules for material, since it's hardly impossible to remember all of them. So Angular material provides you hundreds of built-in directives and modules for the material components or facilities of there, and it's a little bit difficult to remember all the directives and the modules of there. So every time we need to refer the documentation of that, and to access the Angular documentation, you can go to https slash double slash material.io angular.io. Go to guide and you will find the documentation for all the components that you need in Angular material. So if you go to that URL, so if I open the Google Chrome here and in the Google Chrome, so if I say material.angular.io, so you'll find the entire documentation of Angular here. Now if you go to the guides here, now in the guides you'll find list of all the components here. So if you go to the getting started here, and getting started we have how to we can say configure the Angular and how to use the component here. If you go to the components, it will get you the list of all the components. So if you click on any component, it will have the overview of a component and what is the API, that is the module required for that component, and we have complete set of example for that component of that. So throughout material session, so we might refer this document for a few things because it has a lot of directives and a lot of, we can say, modules of that, so it's hardly impossible to remember that. Now the next thing that we want to do is we are assuming that you are running the Angular version greater than 7.0 there. So we need an Angular version greater than 7.0 for this particular tutorial of that. Now to add Angular material to the project, what we need to do, so create Angular app first, and to create Angular app you should have Angular installed on your computer, and you can create Angular app using ng space new space app name. So ng is a CLI command of Angular, and new will create a new application and the app name of that. Now for this, what I'll do is I'll go to a command prompt here, and on the command prompt we'll say something called here we'll say something called go to D drive, and in D drive suppose we create Angular application. So I already installed Angular. You can check the version of Angular that you had installed. So just say ng dash dash version. So this will get you the version of Angular installed on your computer. So if you do not have Angular installed, so you can install the Angular using npm install then -g @angular /cli. So you can get entire details of this in my Angular tutorial or Angular sessions of that. Now here, if you look at to this, so we are using Angular CLI 9.0.6 with we are using something called Node, so 12.16.1 of that. Now let's create a new Angular application, and to create a new Angular application, so what we do here, we'll say ng and I'll say new, and we'll say app name, suppose we'll say mat app. So we'll say mat app here. It will create a new Angular application. So while creating a new Angular application, it will ask you a few questions. So the first question, it will ask you whether you want to enable the routing. So for this session, we do not need a routing for Angular material, but if you want to build a full-fledged Angular application, definitely you will need a routing. So we'll say yes here. Now the second question it is asking here, so whether you want to use the so which CSS you want to use that. So CSS, SCSS, SAS or less. So I'll say CSS here. Now I'll start installing the Angular application, so it will take a little time. Now I'll pause the recording here, then we'll continue for, we can say, PPT here. Now the next step that you want to understand is check the version of Angular application that I had told you just before, ng dash dash version, that you can check the version of Angular, and to open the Angular application in VS Code editor. Now for this session, so I'm going to use the VS Code editor this, and you can install the VS Code editor from visualstudio.com. It's open source, cross-platform, lightweight editor by the Microsoft, and for all the demos, we are going to the Visual Studio Code editor, so you can download this. And once the Angular project is ready, so you can open the Angular project in a Visual Studio Code using code dot command होता है. Now for Visual Studio Code, so what we can do, so we can go to the Google, and here in the Google what we can do, so you can type for something called Visual Studio Code, and once you type the Visual Studio Code here, so you'll get this link code.visualstudio.com, and you can download this. This is open source and cross-platform editor, and it's very fantastic editor, so you can download for Windows and you can install it. So we need it for our further, we can say, demos of them. Now let's go further. So till your Angular application getting installed, so we'll have a look at some more components here. Now more things are there. So add Angular material to Angular project. So the first thing that we need to understand, how to add Angular material to Angular project here. Now to add Angular material to the Angular project, we'll say ng space add space @Angular slash material. So once your Angular project is ready, so we'll go to the project folder. Now in the project folder, we'll put something called this command. So ng space add space @Angular slash material. So it will all add the material library, so material to the Angular project to there. Now the ng add command will install Angular material, CDK, so Angular animations, and ask you following questions. So this command will install the Angular material inside Angular project with the CDK. CDK is called Component Development Kit and Angular animations. And while you're adding this to the Angular project, it will ask you following questions. It shows you list of predefined themes. You need to select them from it. Now set up the Google material typography style, and set up browser animation for material there. Now it will perform a lot of things in the background. So first thing that we need to choose is we need to choose the theme, and that will set up the global material typography style globally. So it will add the required fonts and the references of a font files and icons in a index.html file. Is set browser animations for material with them. Now first what we do, so we'll add the material. Let me check our Angular project is ready. No, it's still not ready, it's installing. Now to add the Angular material, so ng space add that Angular slash material here. Now what we can do is next thing that you want to understand here. Now what changes will happen when you add the Angular material? So what changes will happen when you add the Angular material to the Angular project? Now the ng space add space @Angular slash material command will additionally perform the following configurations. It will add the project dependencies to the package.json file, so it will modify your package.json file, and it will add certain dependencies to the package.json file here. Add the roboto font to your index.html, so it will add a roboto font for files for index.html. Add the material design icon font to your index.html. There add few global css styles, and remove margins from the body, and set height to 100% on HTML and the body tag. Set roboto as the default application font there. Now these are the major changes happen. So indirectly we can say, so what are the changes required to work with something called Angular material? So we that will happen automatically when you fire this command ng space add space @Angular slash material, and this will modify the project.json. It will add the roboto font as the default font. It will make few changes in the global CSS, and it will add the icon material design icons in index.html. So we'll study the icon in detail in a further sessions of that. So it will also add the margin to the body, and it will set roboto as the default font for your application there. Now your Angular application is ready. So what we can do, so we'll switch to Angular app folder. So our Angular app folder is a mat app of this, so we'll switch there. Now to add the Angular material here, so say add, so ng add, and we'll say something called Angular slash material. Now it will add the Angular material to Angular project here. So it's installing the packages required for Angular material via npm. So npm is called Node Package Manager, and for Angular application you need a node, so you need to install the node. So what are the packages that we require for Angular and Angular material will be installed by the npm. So it's asking to choose the theme, so you can go for indigo pink or deep purple umber, or you can go for pink blue gray or purple green. And if you look at this, so we have the URLs, and you can go to this URL to view that theme, and whatever the theme that you like you can select that theme. So I'm keeping it default, so indigo slash pink. Then it's setting a global material typography style, just say S, and browser animations for Angular material, just say S. Now it will update the package.json file, and it will install the Angular material packages required for we can say Angular material here. Now by making the material typography styles is in browser animations, it will make your UI more attractive with that. Now so it had added the Angular material successfully to your project with that. Now to open the project in the VS Code editor, so we'll say code space dart. So I'm firing this command, so I'm putting this command inside the mat app folder of that. So once I put the code dart, and if I press the enter key here, so it will open that particular project in the VS Code editor. So for this you need to install the Visual Studio Code editor here. Now so it's opening this here in a VS Code editor. Now we had opened the project. Now next thing that we want to do is, so use our display components, the first component. So we want to use the first Angular component here. Now to use the first Angular component, or to display the first Angular component, we need to follow three-step process of that. Add a reference of material module. So add a reference of material module. So whatever the component that you want to use, so you should add a reference of module of that particular component to your root module there. And for that we need to use import then module name from angular slash material slash module. Now right now I am showing you how to add a button, mad button. So button is available in a mad button module. So I'm importing the mad button module from angular material slash button in your root module there. So this is the first step that we need to do. Now let's try to do this here. So I'll go to the VS Code, sorry, so here, and in a VS Code I'll go to your root module. So what is the root module in Angular application? In Angular application, so app module is the root module by default, that is available in src folder, app folder. So I'll go to the src app, and we'll go to the app module.ts file, and in app module.ts file, so at the first step we'll say import something called mat, we can say mat button module. And this mat button module is available from, so we'll say something called angular slash material slash button. Now once we import this module in the second step, so what we need to do, so we need to add it to the imports array in the app module. So we need to add it to the imports array in the app module, and to add this we have this. So this is the regular we can say mechanism that we do for every module in Angular application. So you go to the imports array in your app module ng module decorator, and here we'll add that. So it's a mat button module. By this, whatever that we have in a mat module, mat button module, that will be available in the app module there. Now in the next step, so what we want to do is we use it in a HTML. So we can use it in a HTML there. Now here, so let's use this in HTML. So I'm going to the app component. Now here we have the app component.html file, and in this app component HTML file, so I'll remove this, and to use it in HTML, so I'll say something called button, and we'll say mat dash raised dash button. So mat dash raised dash button is a built-in directive provided by the mat button module, and it will help you to create a raised button here. So it will help you to create the raised button. Now I'll just save this. Now to run this and view this in a browser, so I'll go to terminal. So I'll start with a new terminal here, and in a new terminal, so I will fire a command, something called ng serve dash open. So this command dash o, this command will build the Angular application. It will host this Angular application, we can say Node.js web server, and it will open this application in a Google Chrome. So it will build, host, and run your Angular application. So it's compiling here. So we have the three-step process. The first step is import the module in a root module and add it in the imports array, and then use it in HTML. That's a simple way. So find the module for the component that you want to use, import that module in the app root module, so app module, and then add it in the imports array, and then you are free to use that HTML in any component which belongs to that particular module. Now it's taking little time to compile that. Now till then, so what we do, so this is the demo that we are doing now. So it's compiling 93%. Now it got 100%. Okay, that will also open the Chrome browser automatically, and you will find the raise button. Fantastic. So here we have a raised Angular button. So very simple. Now uh, we need to sit back and think, are we doing this right? No, so this is not the right way to use the material in Angular project to there. Now what is the right way? Let us do it right. Now what is the right way? So this is not the right practice. The right practice is to create a separate module for the material and use imports and the export to export it to use in a root module. Now whenever Angular material has a lot of components and every component has its separate module, so importing all the modules in a root module and then adding it in imports array make your app.root module file, so app.module.ts file, very complicated. Now instead of importing it directly in a app root module, what we do, will create a separate module for the material, and then we'll add the references of all the modules that we need inside our application from material, and then we export it to the app root module, and we'll use it here. Now to generate a new module using CLI command, use ngg and name of module. So use ngg and name of module. Now then you can import a mat module in it and import it and export it. Now let's create a new module here, and for that I'm going to the terminal. So I'll stop this compilation here. Now I'll go to the src folder, which is source code of Angular applications in src folder, in the app folder, and app folder will say ng generate module, and we'll specify the new module theme. So we'll say m module, or we'll say mat module, sorry, m module. So mat can be a built-in name, so we'll say m module here. Right, now let me check what happens here, or m design. So I'll put name, so n design. So ng space g space m and m design. So it will generate a module file. So if I go to your project, so you will get one file get added here. So something called mdesign folder. In the mdesign folder, you'll get the mdesign.module.ts, and if you look at here, so mdesign is just a module, so mdesign module, and by default it has declarations array, imports array, and it's importing the common module. So common module is required for function proper working of Angular application. Now I'll not do anything here. Now so what we did in app module, so at the first step what we do, so here we had imported this module. So which module? So mat button module. So we'll remove this from app module.ts and we'll put it here in a design module, so that we had created, that is specially created for Angular material. Second thing, so we'll create the imports array and we'll add this raised button to this design module imports array here. And next thing that we do is we'll export it. So we'll export it. So the first thing that we'll do here, use this module in your root module by importing it. So the next thing that we'll do is we'll add the exports array here, and exports array, so what we can do is we'll export this mat module. So we'll export the mat button module, and then we import this mdesign module in your root module. So here we'll import it. So I'll say something called import, and we'll say mdesign module from and we'll go to the file here. So the file is mdesign folder, then we have the file mdesign.ts, and then we'll add it to the imports here. So mdesign module, right? Now, so this way what we can do, so we can add it to the imports array. So this way we can add it to the imports array of Angular material. We'll save this, and here we'll build the application. So ng and serve, and then we'll say dash. Oh, sorry, so I had fired this command at wrong place. So we'll say something called, we'll go to the src, we'll say ng, and we'll say serve dash o. So you should fire it in the root folder of your Angular application. And let us see what result we'll get here. Now it's building the application here. Okay, I'll get the same effect of that. So this is the right way to use the Angular. If you enjoy this video, please like us and share. Also subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and do not forget to press the bell notification button to receive the notifications for our new videos. If you have a question, you can ask in the comment box or visit my blog blog.writetechpune.com. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.